2 years ago, Thomas Nelson released the Preaching Bible in KJV and NKJV. And after going through and testing lots of Bibles, this became my preaching Bible. And I still use it. I still like it. It's still my preaching Bible. But I have a few little things about it that I would like to see changed. I wanted some maps in the back because I use maps. I use them for teaching. And also, I don't like the last page being Revelation, and then we have just one page, and then we have this stiff tab, and it doesn't close well, and kind of fights against you when you're using it in Revelation. You have to push it down, hold it a little bit. Anyway, moving to 2021, Thomas Nelson has now rebranded this Bible and added maps. And they've also made it available in different covers. And that is known as the Maclaren series. That's what I'm looking at today. It's available in the KJV and the NKJV. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the KJV. One advantage in the Maclaren series is that it's available in goatskin, genuine leather, and imitation leather called Leather Soft in brown and black. So I'm just going to start at the top and work my way down. And one thing I just noticed, the goatskin box is larger than the others. Slightly larger. Just now noticed that. So anyway, the goatskin box has a black interior, while the others are white. This is known as the Maclaren series. It is named for Victorian-era preacher Alexander Maclaren. Now, it only shares his name. So those of you who have asked me if this is a Maclaren study Bible, it is not. It does not include notes from him. It does not include any reference to him at all. It just shares his name. So the black goatskin is like all the other goatskin that you know of from the Premier Collection. A little bit of grain, smells like leather. It's not overpowering like some of the others that I've gotten recently, but this one it does have a leather smell to it. Perimeter stitching. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spine ribs, spine hubs with gold stamping. I like that that's a little bit small. It's kind of understated, and that looks clean and nice. 3 ribbons, Smythe sewn, black head tailbands, art gilt edges, real leather liner, calfskin if I remember correctly. Gold gilt line, edge lined. This edge line tab is not as stiff as the Preaching Bible because they didn't glue the page together all the way. The Preaching Bible is glued all the way. This one is only glued about part of the way. Only to here. Now, the reason I wanted to start with this one is because it has something different than that the others do not. It has overcast stitching. I'm not sure if that's showing up well on the camera, but there's a line of stitching on the first signature. Right there, it goes all the way down. Little extra line of stitching. I don't see it in the back, so it is in the front. Presentation page has Maclaren name on it, and then Romans 10:15, just like the Preaching Bible. And then we get into our paper, 36 GSM. This is that same bright white paper found in the Preaching Bible. The text block's identical to the Preaching Bible, no differences whatsoever, except for Maclaren name on the presentation page and on this page here. Both are made in China. 2K Denmark design, which is, in my opinion, the best out there, my absolute favorite. Epistle dedicatory to James. Then we get into the scriptures. Now, this one, being edge-lined, it's a little bit stiff, not as bad as some others I've seen, but it will take a little bit of time to get it to lay down. So we have 10.5 point font, and I do realize that the Preaching Bible did say 11.5 point font. This is a 10.5 point font. They are the same Bible. There's no difference. They changed the way they measured, and this is measuring a little bit more accurate. Between 8-9 words per line, with lots of space between the lines. It's very comfortable to read. It is a dark font, not bold, probably semi-bold, with blue highlights throughout, and the highlights include section headings, verse numbers, chapter numbers, the content in the header, not the page number, but the book name, chapter, and verse. And then in the footer, we have our references, 72,000 cross-references, and they're in single column. And then the chapter and verse number are also in blue highlight. Also in the references, we have updated words. So instead of having a glossary in the back, the glossary is on the page. I like that because that just makes it easy to find. They are linked to the text with numbers. It doesn't indicate whether or not this is a footnote or a definition or whatever. But so it can be a little bit difficult when you're preaching or something like that to know whether or not you can look. And it can be a little difficult to find because you have to search through here and see. But still, this is a good design unless you're trying to use it fast. I've preached from this design for a couple of years now, and I've gotten to the point where I no longer try to look down here and find information unless I really feel the need to. The paper is ultra opaque, easy to turn. This is a black letter edition. No self-pronouncing marks or anything like that, so it's, for the most part, easy to read from behind the pulpit. Usually don't have any issues at all. The only time I might have a problem is if there are too many numbers or letters in the text, and that might make me pause if I think there is a punctuation or something like that, but I've gotten used to it. It doesn't really bother me that much. So up to this point, everything's identical to the Preaching Bible. And then we have maps. And then these are the Zondervan maps on the semi-gloss paper. Very colorful. Easy to find what you're looking for. Include elevation, places, battle sites, annotations, dates, routes. Lots of good information. These are easy to use. They're good maps. I would like to have more of them, and I would also like to have an index. I actually use maps, and one of the things that I complained about with the Preaching Bible is without the maps, to me it makes it a little bit more difficult to teach. When I'm teaching about a location, I like to tell everyone to turn to the place in the maps to get an idea of where we're talking about. So they added the maps just for me. They didn't, but I'm going to claim it anyway. So that's a look at the goat skin. This one is about $130. So that's a good price on that one. And here is the genuine leather. This is actually the one that I've been using. I preached from this one twice yesterday. Genuine leather, it does not feel like cheap leather at all. It has a stamped grain, but it looks like goat skin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spine hubs, gold stamping, perimeter stitching. Now this one is a paste down liner, but you can see reinforced tape right here. So they did use reinforced binder's tape, I think, if I'm understanding that right. This is a vinyl liner, and this does something, and the reason I'm using this one is because it stays open better. Now this one does not have the overcast stitching, but if we turn to the beginning of Genesis, this one stays open better, stays flatter. So I have no issues. I don't have to fight against this thing to stay open when I'm preaching from it. No issues at all. Stays flat, stays open. This is why I like a good paste down. When I say paste down, I don't mean the kind that you have to fight to stay open. I mean the kind that will stay open on its own. That stays open really, really good. Really good. I like that. Everything else about it is the same. Same Bible. Same text block. Just doesn't have overcast stitching and doesn't have edge lining. And then this one has brown, red, and blue ribbons, while that one has the black, red, and blue. I think I saw this one for about $57, $58, something like that. That's an amazing price. I like that. So the black leather soft, $36 from Christian Book. It looks like goat skin. Not this goat skin, but it looks like other goat skin that I've seen. And it still looks pretty good. I'll be honest, that looks good. Perimeter stitching. There's our spine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spine hubs. A little bit of a decoration there. This one has a paper liner, and this one doesn't stay open as well. This one wants to fight against you. It will take some more use, some more breaking it in before it will be as usable in Genesis. It wants to fight. This is the kind that, I'll have to use this a lot before I would want to use this in the pulpit. But once you get into Exodus, you're good. Same paper. $36, same paper. Same text block as the genuine leather. Exactly the same thing. This one has two ribbons, a black and a gold, and then gold pages, just like the genuine leather. And then finally, the brown leather soft, which has a different design because it is a two-tone design. It looks like leather, it feels like leather. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spine ribs, spine hubs. Same decorations as the black. Two different shades of brown for the ribbons, a dark brown and a hazelnut, chestnut, I think chestnut. I'm going to call it chestnut. And then same text block exactly. This one has a brown paper liner, and just like the black one, it does want to stay closed until you get into Exodus. There we are in Genesis, and it's staying open really well. So the end of Genesis, and then everything else about it is exactly the same. This is some of my favorite paper in any Bible ever, which is why I chose the Preaching Bible as my preaching Bible. And then by adding the maps back in there, they've made a good Bible for me. I'm liking this. I'm claiming they made that for me. So back to why I'm using this one, it just stays open well. No trouble at all. Stays open perfectly. Paper is easy to turn, easy to read from. The font is nice and dark. So I did change from the Preaching Bible to this one. And so far, I am using this brown one. That's the one that I'm drawn to the most. Of course, I like goat skin. Everybody likes goat skin. And it's not overly floppy, but you know, you can do some yoga with it. It's not overly floppy, and it is structured better. It does have the edge line. It does have the overcast stitching. So if you want something that will last longer, this is your Bible. Absolutely. But you will need to work it in a little bit. It's not bad. That's not bad at all. Here we are in the middle of Genesis. Staying open, no trouble at all. So let's see how this compares to several other Bibles with a similar footprint and a similar font size. But here's the thing. There are not very many in this price range. I mean, we're talking $37. I can't point to another $37 text block that looks this good. There isn't one in a reference edition that I can think of. I don't know of another. In around the $60 range, it's going to be difficult to find something that'll top this. I really don't know of one that I would recommend over that. This one, $130. So we're going to have to compare this to a couple of Thomas Nelsons in the same price range, and then also to a few Bibles that are about twice the price, just to have something to compare to. So first, of course, is the Preaching Bible. It's the same Bible. So we don't expect much differences. It's the same Bible with the addition of maps, so that's why it's going to look a little bit thicker. But the paper's the same. Slightly different texture on the paper, but that has nothing to do with a different paper. That has to do with a different lot, or it has to do with the fact that my preaching Bible is 2 years old, and you know, things are going to change in the paper process in that amount of time. But I can tell that's the same paper. It's the same Bible. Just to show, let's go to page 641. These are the same Bible. Next is the KJV Giant Print Center Column Reference Bible in the Premier Collection. And I think names like this is why they decided to go with something like Maclaren. Because which is funner to say, Maclaren or Giant Print Center Column Reference Bible? That's a description. That's not really a name. So they decided to go with a name. For naming conventions, they decided to go with just name it after famous preachers. So the Giant Print Center Column is thinner. Footprint is about the same. Both goat skin, both have overcast stitching, both have the same materials. Exactly same materials. The ribbons on the Giant Print are larger or longer than the ribbons on the Maclaren. So here's how they compare. Maclaren, you know, doesn't have some of the tools that you're going to find in this one. Maclaren has the blue highlights. The Giant Print has red highlights. My personal preference is toward the red highlights, but I like the blue highlights enough. This one has the European paper, which is a little bit different texture from this one. I prefer this one, but I like that one a lot. Both are black letter. and then center column reference with fewer references, but both do have the same glossary. I do find these a little bit easier to find quickly. So if I'm trying to find something faster, I'd rather look in this one. Another thing this one has that one does not is book introductions, which I do like. This does not include the book introductions, and this one also includes a concordance. Same maps, concordance, and then book introductions with fewer references. Here's how they compare. Next is the Canterbury from Scholar. Goat skin. This one has 3 ribbons with a yap, leather liner. Here's how the footprint compares. They're the same footprint, almost exactly the same footprint. The Canterbury is thinner because the Canterbury uses 28 GSM paper. Now, it's a more expensive paper. This paper is actually more expensive than that one because it's endopaque with a titanium pigment. This is made for premium Bibles. Art gilt edges. The font's slightly larger, but not quite as dark. This one has red highlights versus that one's black. And this does something really nice in Psalms. Get that single column Psalms. That's just beautiful. I love that. And this one is a red letter edition. That's what the red letter looks like. And here's how they compare. The Canterbury includes a concordance, a glossary, nice maps. I love their maps. And then paper for notes. That's one thing I like to see added to the Maclaren series is paper for notes. But glossary of the King's English. Concordance, kind of too small a font, but it's still there and usable. And then beautiful maps. It's hard to beat Scholar's maps. They're just beautiful. Next is the Long Primer 52 from R.L. Allen in Black Mariva calfskin. This one has a little bit smaller footprint. The thickness is about the same. This one also has 36 GSM paper. A little bit different texture. You can tell that this is a more expensive paper than this one. It has a slight cream color, which I prefer. This might be my absolute favorite paper ever. Font is smaller. Doesn't have as much white space in the text. Big enough. Not made with line matching where this is, because this was done in the 50s when line matching wasn't really needed. It does have self-pronouncing text and then center column references. 100,000 center column references. One advantage in this one is it does have a good topical index, a good concordance. It has proper names, and then notebook paper in the back, actual notebook paper, not Bible paper with lines, and then good maps. This is an Oxford. Then finally, the Cambridge Turquoise. Goatskin edition. A little bit smaller of a Bible. Thinner, smaller footprint. All these expensive Bibles I'm showing are made in the Netherlands by Royal Youngblood. And then here's how they compare. This one also includes the 28 GSM paper. A little bit of a cream or ivory color to it. Looks really nice. Center column references, about 44,000 references. Self-pronouncing text. This one's a red letter edition. Good bold red. Very opaque paper. Then in the back we have concordance and maps. Cambridge maps with an index. Beautiful colors. Beautiful colors on those maps. So that's my quick look at the Maclaren KJV series. I love these Bibles. I highly recommend them. Around $36 if I remember correctly for the imitation, the leather soft. $130 for the goatskin. Close to $60 for the genuine leather. The one reason I like the genuine leather so much, I'll show you. When I mentioned that it stays open. That's out of the box. That is straight out of the box. That took no break-in at all to do that. So I highly recommend it. This will be my preaching Bible for a while. So I'll place some links in the description where you can see more detail about this Bible on BibleBuyingGuide.com, or where you can make a purchase if you're interested. There are affiliate links. That does help me keep Bible Buying Guide running, and I appreciate any help I can get there. It doesn't cost you anything. If you have any questions, let me know. And Thomas Nelson did supply these in exchange for an honest review. And my honest review is this is one of the best Bibles for the money, and I highly recommend it. Thanks for watching.